Expect from a defence and security perspective that we might have a different perspective on Antarctica, and from my perspective, what I see is developing a clash of perspectives on the value of Antarctica. And so where I'm looking at pitching these 3 points around 2056 and thinking further out is around that. And we've heard about just how important the treaty has been for Antarctica in preserving that, and the fact that it was built in an era, in sort of almost the post-World War II honeymoon period of great frameworks that have been designed, and how the treaty is under stress because it needs continual work to look after it. And we can see that it's going to continue all the way through. Fast forward to 2056, the situation in Antarctica, and actually in the world, is completely different to what we had in 1958, 59, and certainly now. Nothing is constant, and nothing is consistent, and we will expect to see increased competition. The technology will give opportunities for different countries to think about, and different corporations to think about how they problem solve throughout the world. And what has made the treaty succeed now in the past may not be the things that make it succeed in the future. So a clash of perspectives on the value of Antarctica is what we see in terms of the emergent threats. The organisation of New Zealand, in terms of its consistency and consistent strategy, and we've seen that in terms of our strategy, science has followed the flag in making sure that the Antarctic is held as a secure and safe place, not only for New Zealand's claim, but also in terms of the environment. And only now are we really understanding how important Antarctica is in terms of our environment, how important Antarctica is in terms of the Pacific fishery, and the need to look after it. Our strategy has been, from my perception, to reduce tension, and the ATS does that in terms of making sure that we are globally and universally applying a approach which is for the benefit of mankind, for the benefit of the planet, and that's the scientific understanding of it. We also need to understand that we have a unique geographic position in the world when it comes to Antarctic, and what that might mean, and I'll talk about that very shortly. And the fact that there is going to be more capacity and more competition in the future for the value that the Antarctic might have. Our strategy also has been, of course, to be a responsible owner of that region, and so we've seen a considerable effort in terms of scientific investigation and also making sure that we are able to support that effort. And that's why in the recent Defence White Paper you see increased government spending on assets that will do that. My question though is, what's the honourable thing to do? And I ask this from three perspectives. First of all, there's the principled perspective, which I think is the one that's in play at the moment. And that's around working together, around ensuring that Antarctica is maintained for the benefit of not only humankind but also the planet, making sure that we stop a land grab, and making sure that we leverage off this idea that science is a universal language and has universal benefit. There's the legacy that New Zealand enjoys in this perspective in terms of its position in the globe and its ability to actually take advantage of a strategic situation that may develop in the future. It's a legacy that we may want to fight for. And when I say fight for, I mean compete for. We do see increased competition for influence in Antarctica. We do see increased competition around basing, and we have been interested in just the different numbers of countries that are placing increased focus on this. We see countries establishing their own white papers when it comes to the use of Antarctica. And we see the need to continue to assert our sovereignty, although it may be in frozen or abeyance it's necessarily a role that we have. There's also a third approach, and that's to be pragmatic. We may not want to fight over Antarctica, we may not want to compete over Antarctica, but we may have to take up the crumbs from one of those outcomes of competition. We may want to be the base where people establishes their mining in terms of the Antarctic continent. We may want to assist other nations. There is a place there where we will have to decide what we want to do. So, from my perspective, what is the honourable thing to do? Well, in terms of New Zealand, it comes down to where your perspective is. Is it an honourable perspective to ensure the ongoing economic benefit of our nation? Is it the honourable thing to ensure the benefit of humankind and the well-being of Antarctica for the well-being of the planet? Or is it an honourable thing to enable other people and take advantage of our geographical location? All of these things are threats to the Antarctic.